The Aeroflot cabin smells like wool coats and cigarette smoke that never quite leaves the fabric. Your passport gets stamped with a thud. A smiling Intourist guide is waiting, holding a clipboard with your name spelled perfectly. A hotel key follows. So does a silence that listens back. This is your life, level by level, inside a Wall Street trader in the Kremlin. Level 1: The guest with a briefcase, Intourist handler. You came to sell markets, your room came with microphones. The lobby carpet is thick, red, and tired from 1,000 foreign shoes. The Intourist desk already has your room number. Your guide walks half a step ahead, practiced, cheerful, never quite personal. Upstairs, the door clicks shut. The phone line clicks too, a tiny double tap when you lift the receiver. Housekeeping arrives at the exact minute you leave for breakfast. You tell yourself it's just bureaucracy. You tell yourself every country monitors visitors. You tell yourself you can outthink it like a trade. So you keep your notes in your head. You talk business only outside, under traffic noise on Gorky Street. You never say names in the room. You never leave the briefcase closed when you go down for coffee. Your first power is small. You're foreign, you're invited, you have dollars in your wallet. Your first burden is constant. Fixed routes, fixed restaurants, fixed phone lines that feel like they breathe. A polite man in a good suit asks about your firm's bonus structure like it's weather, then offers a private dinner off the itinerary. In Moscow, the room is never empty, you're just the only one pretending it is. Level 2: The valuta whisperer, Berezovka and certificates. The first favor is just money until it becomes leverage. You learn the city's real exchange rate by watching faces, not signs. On the street, rubles are paper and hard currency is gravity. A driver drops you near a Berezovka store where the windows show Japanese cassette decks, Finnish boots, Swiss watches, everything priced in foreign currency or Bank certificates. Inside, the clerk's hands move fast, eyes flat, as if goods are a language you're finally allowed to speak. You tell yourself it's harmless. You tell yourself everybody bends rules here. You tell yourself your job is numbers, not politics. So you explain spreads and liquidity over tea in a cafe with chipped cups. You teach someone how value moves when the official rate is theater. A small favor follows. Exchange cash quietly, bring a Seiko watch in your luggage, pick up a fax ribbon, a box of antibiotics that never appear in regular pharmacies. Then you notice the pattern. The same man always stands where the light is best. The same, coincidental, camera hangs above the coat rack. Receipts vanish from your pocket, then reappear in a neat pile on your hotel desk like a reminder. Hard currency buys comfort first and then it buys your file. Level 3: The hard currency mechanic, Bank, VEB channel. You stop trading markets and start trading a state's oxygen. Your meetings move from tourist restaurants to offices that smell like paper, ink, and boiled radiators. A receptionist takes your passport without surprise. The conversations sound like banking, but the nouns feel heavier: correspondent accounts, settlement windows, gold sales, import financing. Someone says Bank like it's a valve, not a bank. You sit under a portrait, drink overly sweet tea, and diagram payment flows on squared paper. You tell yourself you're consulting. You tell yourself you're translating Western risk language. You tell yourself you can keep it technical. So you talk about how New York prices desperation, how a balance sheet reads when reserves are stressed, which correspondent banks ask the fewest questions, how to time settlements so a bad week looks like a normal delay. You're asked to make the state look calm to people who profit from panic. The surveillance changes shape. A driver appears without being requested. Your route is optimized. Invitations come with exact times and exact doors. You realize you're no longer just watched, you're scheduled. And when you try to decline a meeting, the reply isn't anger. It's logistics, as if your refusal is simply an error to be corrected. You don't move money anymore, you keep a machine breathing, one payment at a time. You've learned the hotel, the street rate, the hard currency machinery. Now the relationship gets a name. It stops being business and becomes cooperation, the kind that turns your choices into paperwork. Level 4: The controlled asset, KGB Second Chief Directorate. You are no longer a visitor being watched, you are a visitor being managed. A new office replaces the old ones. No portraits. No tea service. Just a hallway that smells like floor wax and cigarettes, a metal coat rack, and a clock you can't see from the chair. Your escort takes your passport like it's routine. A man in a plain suit closes a folder without letting you read the cover sheet. You tell yourself it's a debrief. You tell yourself it's just counterintelligence procedure. You tell yourself cooperation means answering questions and going home. So you answer carefully. Who you met at the ministry, which bank asked for a discount, what your firm thinks about sanctions, what your personal opinion is of the General Secretary's health. They already know the dates. They want your tone. You get structure in exchange for obedience. A phone number that rings once, then calls you back. Meeting points by metro stations Kropotkinskaya, Park Kulturi where you stand at a newspaper kiosk and wait for a shoulder bump. Instructions arrive as suggestions. They never sound like orders until you try to refuse. At this level, your freedom isn't taken, it's itemized, initialed, and filed like collateral. Level 5 The financial weapon, active measures abroad. You stop feeding the machine at home, you help it reach outward through markets and rumor. The travel feels different now. Not tourist flights and Intourist schedules, but conferences, client meetings, cities that make sense for a trader. Vienna, Zurich, Helsinki, sometimes New York with a fresh suit and a practiced smile. In hotel bathrooms, you run the tap while you speak. In lobbies, you choose seats that watch elevators and exits. You tell yourself it's information sharing. You tell yourself it's just messaging, the same as any market narrative. You tell yourself nobody gets hurt from a well-placed story. So you carry packages that look like documents for a board meeting. A telex printout, a list of account numbers, a draft memo with phrasing designed to spook creditors. You float a rumor about reserves. You hint a delay is technical. You steer a banker toward a nervous question at the worst possible time. The mechanics are precise. Cutouts, one-time pads, dead drops in station lockers. A phone call that lasts exactly 40 seconds. If a journalist bites, you don't celebrate. You log it. If a bank tightens terms, you don't argue. You adjust the next whisper. You become the kind of trader who doesn't just price risk, you manufactures it, quietly, like fog. Level 6 The inner circle brief, Kremlin access. You are trusted close enough to speak where policy and money share the same air. It isn't a grand entrance. It's a side gate, a document check, a courtyard where your footsteps sound too loud against stone. Inside, the corridors are warm and overly clean, the carpet thick enough to swallow urgency. Your badge is temporary. Your escort is permanent. You're led to a room with a long table, water glasses set in identical pairs. You tell yourself you're just a technician. You tell yourself they want numbers, not loyalty. You tell yourself you're still you, just closer to the center. So you brief in tight sentences. How Eurodollar lenders read a missed coupon, what a gold sale signals in London, which Western banks still roll short-term credits, how quickly a rumor becomes a line item in a risk committee. A man you don't address by name asks one question. Everyone else watches his pen. The power is proximity. A single phrase from you can change a negotiating stance, shift a purchase order, redirect a shipment of grain or machine tools through a different port. The burden is permanence. You don't get to be wrong in that room, because wrong becomes a problem with names attached. By the time you leave, you understand the final trade. Access for silence, forever. In every room, the air has a different weight, but the same rule holds. You learn to speak in numbers and mean something else. You learn to accept help that arrives like a gift and stays like a chain. The Kremlin doesn't need your soul. It needs your habits, your denials, your precision, your ability to call it work and sleep anyway.